What's up, Packer fans? Welcome into the Pack a Day podcast here on YouTube. I'm your host, Andy Herman. You can follow me on Twitter at Andy Herman NFL. And I know you may only have so much time in your day, so if you have to choose today between watching me here on YouTube or listening to today's audio version of our 1000th episode featuring myself, Ben Fennell, and ESPN's Matt Bowen, who tells a hilarious story from his time with the Packers, please do me a favor, shut me off right now and go and listen to today's audio version of the podcast because one, I get an opportunity to kind of thank everyone that's been a part of the project for 1,000 episodes, but two, definitely a really, really fun episode with Ben Fennell and Matt Bowen as well. So make sure to check that out. If you have time to do both, I love you. You're amazing. And please stay here for the rest of this video and then make sure to check out the audio podcast afterwards. But definitely make sure to check that out today as we celebrate 1,000 episodes, 1,000 days in a row with a new Packers podcast every single day. 365 days a year, 66 days on leap year. The team is amazing. Make sure to check it out and subscribe if you haven't already. But let's jump into today's main topic, which isn't necessarily Packers specific, so forgive me a little bit, but I want to go over maybe some spicy, bold takes in the first round of this year's NFL draft. So I want to start off with Greg Newsom, and my bold, spicy take here is that Greg Newsom is as good, at minimum, at least as good as any corner in this draft. And you might say, Andy, listen, you did the cornerback position for the Cheesehead TV draft guide. I read it, and you had Greg Newsom at number 4, behind J.C. Horn, behind Caleb Farley, and behind Patrick Surtain. So why are you sitting here today telling me that Greg Newsom is the best, or at least as good as any corner in this draft? And frankly, it's just because I believe it. And I think you can make a very strong argument for J.C. Horn, for Patrick Surtain, for Caleb Farley if he's healthy, but Greg Newsom unequivocally needs to be a part of that conversation and in that group. And frankly, if next Thursday came and Greg Newsom was the first one off the board, wouldn't be shocked in any way, shape, or form. He is that damn good. And I think the thing about him, yes, he does have some injury concerns. Yes, he's coming from the University of Northwestern, which isn't exactly cornerback university, CBU, if you will, but he has everything that you want on tape. He is young. He is athletic. He meets every single one of those top athletic thresholds, although he did miss slightly on, I think it was the short shuttle, actually, for what Green Bay generally likes. If you watch him on tape, you have zero question whatsoever about his agility. You will easily cross that off and erase it, and just kind of erase it from your memory that he even ran a poor short shuttle. And it wasn't even like that poor. It was like the 45th percentile, something like that. But you just forget about it completely because you watch him on tape, and there is no question about his agility, getting in and out of breaks, sticking with wide receivers. I love how he contests plays. I love how he closes to the wide receiver. I love how he can, flip his hips with great fluidity. I love all of it with Greg Newsom. And to me, J.C. Horn's the alpha of this class, in my opinion. What I mean by that is he's the guy that will change the face of your defense. He will help you get more turnovers. But dude holds like absolute crazy and definitely has some flaws in his technique. Now, you can almost forgive it because, again, you just match him up against whoever the biggest threat is, and he wants that matchup. And for the most part, he's going to win that matchup more often than not. But he definitely has some flaws in his game. Patrick Surtain maybe lacks a little bit of that flash and pizzazz, but as consistent as it gets at corner. And then Caleb Farley, it looks like he's walking on air sometimes, and how fluid he is in his movements. Change of direction is phenomenal. The big question here is the back injuries and just overall the injuries that he's had throughout the course of his career. But man, Greg Newsom, if Green Bay can somehow find a way to secure his services, I think it would be a legitimate debate that Green Bay got arguably the best corner in this year's draft. So that's hot, spicy take number 1. Spicy take number 2, Terrace Marshall is the red herring at wide receivers in this draft. I don't see it with him. And again, this is not the be-all, end-all. He could go on to have a great career. I see a ceiling more as a number 2 wide receiver, more of a possession wide receiver. I don't see the super high-end traits with him. I don't see him being dynamic after the catch. I don't see him explosive down the field. I see him as a good, solid possession receiver. And frankly, to me, that's not exactly what Green Bay needs. Now, he does release pretty well. He's got strong hands. There's a lot to like about him, right? His size, his mold, it's all very, very good. I just didn't see that second level with him. I just didn't see him going from good college receiver to all of a sudden great NFL receiver. And if he continues to progress, there's always that opportunity. But I think, to me, obviously there's the top wide receivers, and then I think Rashad Bateman. I would take Bateman a million times out of a million over Terrace Marshall in this draft. And then even somebody like Elijah Moore, I get it. He's shorter. He's small. I do not care. Tyreek Hill is small. Brandon Cooks was small. Like, small wide receivers can win in this league, and they can very much win within Matt LaFleur's system. Elijah Moore, I would take him, again, 100 times out of 100 before I would take Terrace Marshall. I know Green Bay likes those more bigger physical wide receivers, but to me, he is a red herring. I'm not going to say he's going to be a bust because, again, I'm wishing every single one of these players that's selected on Thursday, Friday, or Saturday goes out and just becomes an awesome pro. But I think Terrace Marshall is going to be the one that maybe doesn't quite live up to the early hype. Number 3 on my spicy hot takes, Mac Jones knows how to quarterback better than any player in this draft. Now, be very mindful of my words here. He's not the best quarterback in this draft. He's not the best prospect in this draft. He's not the quarterback that I would draft 1 overall in this draft, but he knows how to quarterback better than any other quarterback in this draft. And what I mean by that is we've seen more of this quarterback-friendly offense, the Kyle Shanahan, the Sean McVay, the Matt LaFleur's, where you're putting them in ideal situations. You're giving them reads where they can be successful. You're moving the pocket at times. You're giving the defense a ton to think about with potential jet sweeps and motions and orbits, play action, bootlegs, pass plays that look like run plays that look like pass plays. You're making things very difficult for the defense, and you're putting weapons around them, and you're making things as easy as possible for the quarterback. Doesn't matter if you're Jimmy Garoppolo, doesn't matter if you're Aaron Rodgers, doesn't matter if you're Jared Goff, doesn't matter if you're Matthew Stafford, doesn't matter if you're whoever San Francisco is going to take with the 3rd overall pick. That offense is going to make you more efficient. It's going to make you better. And if you know how to play quarterback, if you know how to get the ball to your wide receivers in space with accuracy, you know where to go with the football pre-snap, post-snap, you have a very high opportunity to succeed in those style offenses. And to me, Mac Jones, when I watch him, he has an answer for everything on every play. You watch him very closely, and you see that when they blitz him, he knows where his hot read is. You come this way, he goes that way, right? Or you go this way and he goes right over the top and knows exactly where to go with the football. Doesn't try to do too much. Gets rid of the football when he needs to. Doesn't make poor decisions with it. And then he delivers the football with great touch, great accuracy, and he's more mobile than people give him credit for. I loved what I saw with Mac Jones on tape. To me, he is at or around, or if not better, of a prospect than Matt Ryan was coming out of Boston College. I think Mac Jones had better reads and a better grasp of how to play quarterback than Matt Ryan did coming out of Boston College and going to Atlanta. And remember, Kyle Shanahan made Matt Ryan an MVP, should have been Super Bowl winning quarterback in Atlanta if they didn't crap the bed with a 28-3 lead. I really enjoyed what I saw out of Mac Jones. I don't necessarily want him to end up in San Francisco because that doesn't help the Packers, but very hopeful that he does not end up in Chicago because I was very impressed by what he put on tape, especially this past season. And yes, he had next to ideal circumstances this past year with being able to throw to Devontae Smith and Jalen Waddle and having a great offensive line, Najee Harris, the list goes on and on, but I absolutely loved what he was able to put on tape. Number 4 might not be that spicy, but I feel very strongly about it. Najee Harris is the best running back in this draft. To me, there's 0 question marks with Najee Harris. You want him to catch the ball out of the backfield? He's fantastic at it. You want him to pick up blitzes? He can do that. You want him to run with power? He can do that. You want him to make people miss in the open field? He can do that. There is literally nothing that I've seen out of Najee Harris at running back that he can't do at the position. Now, he's probably not going to be that running back that you can just line up in the slot and have him run, quick slant routes and, be Christian McCaffrey. But man, everything else that you want it's there with Najee Harris. And to the extent that it's better, in my opinion, than any other running back in this draft. He runs hard, he runs physical, but he also makes people miss. It's just a really rare blend of just overall athleticism and talent at the position. I love what he brings to the table, and to me, he is running back 1A in this class. I still wouldn't spend first round picks on any of these running backs. To me, the position just isn't worth it, but if you're going to spend one, Najee Harris should be that guy. And last but not least, my fifth juiciest take here, Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah is going to be an absolute stud, and he's going to be what everyone wanted or wants Isaiah Simmons to be, who went early to Arizona a season ago. Isaiah Simmons had all the flash, just the height, weight, speed, athletic profile. He had all of it, and everyone thought he was going to be just almost like an instant Hall of Famer at the position and come in and tear up the NFL. Could play safety, could play linebacker, could play slot, could do everything, blitz off the edge. And come to find out, he still has a ways to go at all of those positions, and really took him some time to find a home. Now, these type of players you have to be so careful with, right? We saw Myles Jack like this at UCLA, and it wasn't really until last year that Myles Jack got really good. In the previous 4 or 5 years before that, he was good, but never really great. And a lot of times, and there's certainly more instances of this as well. Isaiah Simmons is another one, but Stephon Anthony for Clemson, like where you see these ultra athletic linebackers lined up on the weak side in college, almost as a slot type defender, and they're unblocked. They don't have to deal with pulling guards or centers driving to the second level. They are unblocked free players that can go around, use their crazy speed, and wreak havoc on offenses. Isaiah Simmons thrived, Myles Jack thrived, and Stephon Anthony thrived, and we see them transition to the NFL, and it doesn't work. And I see somebody like this again with Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah, and I'm like, I want to say, nope, this is just another one of those examples where you're seeing one of these slot type safety linebackers who's not matched up with anybody per se, and they can just go out and make plays. And you see some of that. But I also see incredible instincts from JOK. I see the ability to get off blocks when he needed to. I've seen him pressure off the edge. I've seen him play safety. I've seen him in coverage, made some ridiculous plays in coverage the past couple seasons. I love everything about him on tape. I think he is going to be an absolute home run pick for whoever selects him. Kind of like, in a way, Jabril Peppers, who doesn't get the respect that he deserves for the New York Giants. I think what the Browns were initially expecting Peppers to be, which he's shown more of these last couple of years. I think JOK can be a similar, if not better player. I think he can play at safety. I think he can play some in the slot. I think he's ultimately a weak side linebacker, but just love what he brings to the table in the modern NFL. Listen, if you find out that JOK can't play rundowns because he just doesn't have the physicality to hold up at the point of attack, and you can't really trust him at safety, if that's the case, if you can only use him on obvious pass downs, second and third downs, and on special teams, to me, if you're basically trading out first downs and obvious rundowns for his ability also to be just a menace on special teams, then also be a just ridiculous defender on obvious pass situations. He's so good that he still has first down value. And oh, by the way, I think he's going to be able to play on rundowns as well. So to me, this is a very intriguing player that I don't think Green Bay ends up with. I think he goes earlier than that. And even if Green Bay moves up, this is not the type of player they generally type of target. But that type of player, I mean linebacker, they just don't like that position all that much, it seems. So I don't expect that to be a Green Bay, type move. But man, whoever gets him, I think is going to get a home run pick in the first round. So Greg Newsom, as good as any corner in this draft. Terrace Marshall, the guy I'm not so high on. I won't use the B word, the bust word, but I do think that he's got a long ways to go before he would, reach his high-end potential. Mac Jones knows how to quarterback better than anyone in this draft class. Najee Harris, RB1. JOK is the best, potential home run swing linebacker, off-ball linebacker, weak side linebacker, hybrid safety, whatever the hell you want to call him. He's the best at it, and he's going to be what people wanted Isaiah Simmons to be. Thank you so much for joining me. Check out today's 1000th episode of the podcast. I will be right back here tomorrow. Make sure to subscribe if you haven't already. Until next time, and as always, go Pack Go.